next on stage, we already have our first panelist here ready. Olga Feldmayer, CEO of Smart Valor. We'll be speaking about real assets on the blockchain, merging the real and crypto economy. And the other panelists to complement this round are Matthias Hjelmstedt, founder and chairman of Utopia Music, a blockchain ecosystem for the music industry. Matthias, welcome.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome on stage Nicholas Brand. Nicholas is a partner at the global venture capital group Lakestar. Nicholas, good to have you. And our third panelist is, our fourth panelist is Matthias Bucher, inventor of Swiss Diamond Coin and founder and CEO of Diamond Digital. All right, with that, your round is almost complete. We still need a moderator because it won't be me. I get to take a break again. It'll be John Hargrave, CEO of Media Shower, a media platform for ICOs, crypto, and blockchain projects. With this, enjoy the discussion, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. What an exciting time to be alive, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It is so exciting. You know, I started my career during the .com revolution, and I thought it was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I never thought that I would be lucky enough to experience it a second time. But if anything, this feels even more exciting. It feels like it's moving faster. There's more innovation. There's more money. Don't you guys have that same feeling? This is the greatest time to be alive?
Totally, especially if you're able to become an entrepreneur and you believe you can do it. No better time to do it.
Yeah, it's really great. So I'm so honored to be leading this all-star panel here today, and I think it would be great for each of you to introduce yourselves, your company, and kind of your blockchain expertise. So Matthias Bucher, if you could start.
Sure, thank you very much. So my name is Matthias Bucher. I'm the founder and CEO of Diamond Digital AG. We've set out to tokenize illiquid commodities, and for that purpose, we have built the ABC platform, the asset-based cryptocurrency platform. And this platform does two things. It adds this required liquidity to the illiquid commodity space, and it provides the crypto space with stable tokens, stable coins, asset-based stable coins. And the first stable coin that we have built on this platform is Swiss Diamond Coin, 100% diamond-based stable coin.
So I want to give everyone an easy way to remember the folks up here. So is it fair to say you're the guy putting diamonds on the blockchain?
Yeah.
All right. So
are generally illiquid assets.
Yes. All right. Great. And next, we have Nicholas Brand from Lakestar. And Nicholas.
Sure. Friends call me Nico, by the way. I might call myself NICO in the context of what's going on. But I peeked into the black hole of blockchain a couple of years ago. It completely sucked me in. It will never let me go again. And once you're inside, you realize how vast it is. Blockchain is going to change everything. So for me, it has turned into an obsession. And that obsession I live out as part of my role at Lakestar. We're a venture fund, we're an investor, but the investing really is just a tool to really do something else. My job is to help teams transition from one phase of where they are to the next. And it could be company or it could be protocol. We've done it with, we're investors in Shapeshift, where I sit on the board, blockchain.info, Peter Smith and the guys, 3 confidential things in San Francisco. I agree, it's exciting to be alive.
Thank you for that passion. And we were talking earlier that you said you're kind of like a truffle finder. You're out there finding the really valuable projects in this space.
That's the fun part. Think of me as a truffle pig, right? My role is...
I didn't want to say that.
No, it's okay. My role is to find the best entrepreneurs out there, and only if they ever like us back, so it's a two-way street, right? If they like us back and we both feel we can embark on a journey, the harder role starts with this venture building out something that will eventually be used by real-world people or enterprises at scale, which means today a lot of projects in the blockchain world don't qualify if that's the criterion.
Well, thank you. I love your passion. Thank you. And next is Matthias Hilmstedt from Utopia Music. Tell us, besides being the coolest dressed of everyone up here, what you do.
Well, I mean, to start with, like you, I've been in the internet space since '94, which is like the first shift. And I've been fortunate enough to be part of several of Sweden's bigger technology companies. So we've seen the shifts, and there's always been kind of a missing layer, which is how do you easily interact and transact with each other. That's always been a missing layer to the whole internet space. So there's so many ideas we see today. We've actually seen them before, but they weren't possible because this technology actually did not exist. So for us, I think it's extremely interesting times because it's basically the fix that was missing. And what are we doing except, I've done so many things in media and tech. We've done computer companies that is used today in games like Battlefield. We did like a Netflix before Netflix in Europe. We've done television rights. And the most broken ecosystem of them all when it comes to how rights and the system is working is music. And we set out to fix it.
I'm going to call you the media entrepreneur. Everybody needs an easy way of remembering who's who up here, and you look the part too, so that works. And finally, last but not least, Olga Feldmeier, who you put on this whole show, and let's give Olga a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm from Soviet Union, you know, we always have big parties. And as I, you know...
That's what I think of when I think of the Soviet Union, is big parties.
Yes, with a lot of drinking and singing, you know, so if you want to sing, guys, like... No, but basically, and then, you know, I got scholarship in Germany, and in Germany there were all those serious birthday parties and stuff like that, and I always said, like, once I can do my event, it's going to be so much fun. So thank you, everybody, for making this. I have a lot of fun. I hope you too.
It's really been great. I mean, it's been so good.
Oh, no.
I think so much of the valuable work in this space is done face-to-face. And all of the deals that we've done have all been because of events like this. You've done a great job. But tell us your official role as CEO of Smart Valor quickly.
Yes, you know, like, I wasn't so cool as some other people here that were always entrepreneur. It took me 10 years working for banks and consulting companies to realize that I can do it too myself. I can become an entrepreneur. I can run a company. And actually, I thank my fortune to Bitcoin. If I would not have invested in Bitcoin back in 2013, I would just purely not have enough money to start all these great things and running events, running companies, right? So I'm an example of, you know, empowerment and this zeitgeist, you know, that we have today, that anybody can become entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Well, thank you. So we're talking about putting real assets on the blockchain, and I'm curious, is this a good idea? Is tokenizing real-world assets a good idea? And I would love to hear, if you think so, why? And if not, that'd be great to get a little bit of dialogue going on as well.
I think it's a fantastic idea, but you need to know what you're doing, essentially. If you have an asset, you need to essentially tick 3 boxes. You need to make sure that you master the physical value chain in a very good way, in a very thoughtful way. So make sure that the asset that you put up, store it as an asset base, is totally secure, ring-fenced, that those who buy then a representation of the asset in a crypto form can really rely that it's there, it's safe, and it's there in the quality that you expect. So that's the first point. The second aspect that you should think about is the whole regulation point. So there are essentially 2 ways how you could set up this, a crypto coin. You could either do an asset-backed security, and that's a bit the old school thing, that we have had that a long time in different forms. Asset-backed securities, for those in the financial markets, they know this clearly. Now you have a new way to do it as well, if you do it right, and that's asset-based cryptocurrencies. And I think both have their merits. Both kind of brackets could be done, can provide value. If you do asset-based cryptocurrencies, as we do with our ABC platform, you open up a whole bunch of additional use cases, like lending, like hedging, or finally, payments, pure and simple payments, crypto payments. So far, if we're really honest with ourselves, essentially all cryptocurrencies are investment vehicles. They are often used for speculation, and essentially nobody uses them for payment.
Yeah.
But if we want to make the promise, the initial promise of the crypto space make true, we need stable coins that are not driven by market sentiment, but can be really used for payments, for retail payments. And that's one big motivation why we do this stable coin platform, this asset-based cryptocurrency platform.
I understand. So part of my value here is I'm like a middleware layer. I can kind of translate what some folks are saying here. And I think what you're saying is, yes, as long as we do it thoughtfully.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That's great.
Well, I think it's a mindset that we still talk about the digital world versus the physical world today. I think these worlds are merging. It brings me to the totally, yes, it's a good idea to bring these together, because for the first time, blockchain enabled the digital world to have characteristics that thus far were only possible in the physical world. Scarcity, in particular scarcity. Think of the white paper solving the double spend problem in the digital world. So if you marry both of both worlds, scarcity, immediacy, fungibility, overcoming trust, and all of that in a way that it's not centralized, monopolized, or owned by any particular group or corporation, marrying the two is very powerful.
So in other words, in the past, it was very easy to replicate digital assets, and that meant they really had zero value. And now, because we're able to make them scarce using the blockchain, and we're able to limit the quantity of them, we can truly unlock value and create truly scarce assets that have real-world value.
Exactly, with all the benefits that digital technology brings, the speed, the global elements in nature, the fact that it's immediate, and that wasn't possible in the physical world before, and now it is. And that is interesting.
Thank you. Matthias?
Well, is there anyone in here who thinks it's a bad idea? I think everybody, that is in the community in general wants the world to be more democratized and easier for people to be able to invest and be part of the value created in this world. And then, of course, if we disregard the problems that needs to be fixed, we'll talk about that later, I think, because there are a lot of regulatories and ecosystems that need to be fixed. For instance, in the space that we're in, which is music and copyright and compositions and recordings, etc., it's a necessity that it happens, because it will actually fix an ecosystem and fix a problem that exists in the world. So I would say it's just not a good idea. It has to happen.
Yeah. Thank you. And Olga?
And well, think about it, like, you know, I'm from finance, right? And I remember back in the 90s, there was something like completely new. It was this Bowie bond, right? So the singer needed money, and he said, like, why should I go and, you know, take a loan from the bank? Probably they didn't even give you.
You're talking about the artist David Bowie actually issued a bond that would earn based on future royalties of
Exactly.
songs.
He said, guys, I need money now, but I don't have money now. I'm gonna sing, you know, and then I get money, I give it back to you. But, you know, it was like structured as a bond, you know. Goldman Sachs was advisor, you know, all the rating and all the, you know, financial intermediaries provided their services, right? And then it was so expensive. You as an investor, what would you get, right? And he paid back and all was good, but there was no other bonds like this, right? Because it's just like our financial system is so massive on intermediaries. It doesn't work, right? And now we are talking like this is a panel, right? We see diamonds, music, you can tokenize anything, and it's cheap. It costs almost nothing. That's the difference.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up the Bowie bond. Such an interesting idea that you could create a financial instrument based on the future earnings of David Bowie's back catalog, essentially. And I'm curious for you, Matthias, when will recording artists be able to tokenize their music in a similar way? When will everybody be able to issue their own Bowie bond based on crypto?
I think in a not too far future. Coming back to things that needs to be fixed, though, if you take an asset and you tokenize it, and there is no marketplace or a place where the revenues flows back to it correctly and outwards, it's really unnecessary. You have to fix the parts around it for it to be useful. So when it comes to this space, for instance, we do need to fix a system where let's say we create a song together. Mm-hmm. Usually we don't shake hands in the beginning. We just create it and then we say, wow, this is pretty good. Let's try to commercialize on it. That will catch up to us later because how did we share that revenue, etc. afterwards. But that's the fundamentals is that when you fix everything in the music industry is about ownership. Who created the song? Who created it with you? Who produced it? Where did it got licensed, etc., etc., etc. When you fix all of these different things, which actually can be, I lost
it's back.
Yeah, when you fix all of these different parts, so you get a massive energy or efficiency increase, which is basically everything flows. A song played is a payment out. When that is fixed, then you can basically make a bond for a song if you were to take the likeliness. You don't even need to make it on an artist or a history of a royalty payment. We create our song, it's great. We have 10,000 fans together. We go out to them and say, do you want to own it with us? Well, basically you have the solution, right? But you have to have the infrastructure in place first.
So you're saying that the music royalty process is very cumbersome, and many middlemen and players in what the blockchain will allow us to do is strip out a lot of that, so more of the royalties go back directly to the artists.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually more profitable for everybody in the ecosystem. So it's actually not just benefit for the artist. I hear a lot of people talking about the benefit only for the artist. But the artist will never benefit if you don't fix. So it's good for the publisher, it's good for the record label, it's good for the distributor, it's good for the actual end consumer.
And just like somebody who's dressed like a rock star, you get your own microphone here.
Yeah. Why not? No, so once you have those things in place and it's good for everybody, this fixes itself.
Yeah. Nicholas, we were talking earlier about the migration of value. And we're kind of touching on that now. You have some thoughts on this I would love to hear.
So it finally hit me a couple of weeks ago how to articulate to you what's going on with the right analogy. And I was watching Planet Earth, this BBC documentary. And there's this helicopter shot of a herd of gnus migrating across the plains of Africa. And it's the biggest movement of animals that we humans know of. This is it. We're in the middle of the biggest migration of value in the history of mankind. The biggest migration of value in the history of mankind. What do I mean with that? Today we have crypto and cryptocurrencies, about 1,500 of them, 350 billion in market cap. That's respectable, but it's still tiny. Migration of value means a lot more is going to migrate onto blockchain as the layer. It'll start with finance. It has already started. So equities, a couple of 100 billion. Bonds, a couple of a trillion. Derivatives, a couple of 100 trillion. Will all eventually sit on some form of blockchain technology. Don't believe in a second, though, that this is going to be fundamental players who own the dealing of that. It will still be a lot of the same. But then, this is where the exciting part starts. Then you have another migration happening of private assets, things that weren't fungible, weren't public before. This is where Olga and her team comes in. Venture capital, et cetera, all private forms of capital. They migrate onto the blockchain. Then you have physical assets migrating on blockchain. We spoke about it. Linking physical and digital assets hasn't been possible before. Your house, supply chains, all that good stuff. Then, this is becoming interesting, you have us migrating on the blockchain. We will be able to have our own native digital identity. That has value implications. Then making the pie ever larger, you have something that only exists digitally. Think of CryptoKitties. Think of all the data, all the machine learning talent, all the machine learning value. All of that will somehow sit on a blockchain, making that value pie ever larger. And last but not least, then there's all the stuff around it that today to us is mentally not even conceivable yet. This is why I think it's the biggest migration of value in the history of mankind.
I love your passion. And CryptoKitties, does everybody know what CryptoKitties are out here? I see about a third of the audience, half. CryptoKitties are so adorable, and what I love, a lot of people discount it, say it's silly. They're little they're CryptoKitties, right, Olga? That's how you would describe them. They're collectibles that are based on the blockchain, and what they've done is made this beautiful front end to the crypto layer. So you don't feel like you're trading, and I think that's so necessary. It's the next layer of services that are happening. So thank you.
It's clearly a digital asset. You agree? So I think what you just mentioned, I want to relate a bit to this big migration of value. I pretty much see it the same way. I think last year what we've seen was the year 2017 was the year of the crypto share with all these ICOs coming out. What I see this year clearly is the year of tokenizing assets, so adding this additional feature. And then if you mentioned the identity migration, and I think this is really interesting because at the end of the day, blockchain is an enabler of a new paradigm, of a new interaction, a peer-to-peer economy. And what will be extremely important is this view that an individual controls their own data, yeah? That has their own identity, which might be anchored on the blockchain, but has data self-sovereignty. And now, if we link it back to the whole financial world, I think this is a concept that we can use when we need to do KYC and AML. And I think everybody here on the panel and probably most in the people in the public agree that we do not want any kind of company turn into the biggest money laundering engine on earth. So we need consistent, good KYC, AML processes, but at the same time, we want to make it easy for the user, and we want to leverage the strengths of the blockchain. And that's, for example, what we did now with our KYC AML process and for the ABC platform, is we're creating a mobile app that uses U-port identity. Maybe some of those in the public use it or know it as kind of the digital identity wallet, and we add this attestation layer for KYC AML. And the result of it is that we really support this migration of the individual to the blockchain, because now you can have your identity anchored on the blockchain, but you're still compliant with all the regulations, KYC and AML.
And you control your identity, so you get to decide who has it.
So it's
and
not,
we don't have centralized databases of all of our personal information that can be hacked and shared around the world.
Yes.
As has happened in the United States. Olga.
To add to this, imagine the world where we have what Vinnie Linham was talking about, right? Also, all this identity on the blockchain for all the people around the world, not just for us with passports. That's one part, right? Tokenization is the second. Imagine that all the real assets will travel to the blockchain in terms of registry, decentralized registry, right? That, we have already example in Sweden, I guess they implemented land registry on the blockchain, right? In Switzerland, in Geneva, folks are working on decentralized registry for companies. So that means, that blockchain becomes the same place where ownership is recorded and where it's exchanged, and the same place where your identity lives, right? So all of these parts and pieces, when they all come together, we're gonna, laugh about how we used to own and transfer ownership. Today, we will think like that was totally crazy. We were wasting our times for a week, right? But those are very fundamental parts, right? And this is why we're saying that blockchain is fundamental technology, right? It's not revolutionary technology.
Right.
It's going to change how society works.
Yeah.
It's such a good example. I've always wondered if your house exists on the blockchain and you get hacked, is the hacker going to show up, ring the doorbell, and you have to move out?
I think this is the interface where we need to stay realistic. You still have a legal framework, and I think those who proclaim that the law of the blockchain will replace the intermediate or a little bit further out future, totally the law, the real law, the legal framework, I don't really buy into that. So I think the approach will probably be that smart contracts need to support and coexist first with existing law. Eventually, smart contracts will get smarter, the blockchain will get more efficient and more accepted. And I could see that in the long term, eventually we could move into a situation where, with the corresponding security mechanisms clearly, that a contract that only exists on the blockchain would be fully valid in an existing legal framework.
I want to move from smart contracts to record contracts and talk a little bit about how artists, are they going to be able to launch their own tokens to raise money for a new album or a creative project, Matthias?
I mean, per se, yes. I don't know if it's a perfect idea if you have ecosystems around it that you can take care of it with. A new token for everything is not perfect, even though you have a tokenized economy. It's better to be part of a bigger marketplace that flows easier without having too many different values or tokens in it. But per se, yes. Once you have actually fixed the part of how these rights are being used, this can happen. I mean, the music industry is an industry around financing. It's about promotion. It's about legal and accounting. It sounds very boring, but that's basically the industry. Music is secondary. It sounds very, very, very boring, but that's how it is. If you go to a modern record label today, 70% of the people will be accountants and legal, which is crazy. And once you get the efficiency out of that, and you fix the fundamental part, which is a record label could co-found a fund, fractally fund a song together with the fans of a song.
Are we going to see artist-backed ICOs? Is Bruno Mars going to have his own coin?
I don't think it's a perfect idea, but you could.
You don't like Bruno Mars?
Sure, yeah. I don't know what to say right now, but no, I don't think the best way in the future of the economy is that there is a coin for everything. Yeah. It's better that you have good ecosystems that take care of the frameworks for this.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a question also of fungibility or desired fungibility or not at the end of the day. And the question of fungibility clearly also has an influence on global spread of a token.
Yeah.
Let's take an example of Bruno Mars, or maybe a better example of a beautiful Van Gogh painting. Here I clearly see that you would want to tokenize a specific object. In many cases, there is much more utility if you tokenize a commodity, or you do an effort first to actually make an underlying asset commoditizable or fungible, like we do with the diamonds. So we first take individual stones. We have this patent pending model that transforms it into a specific value that makes them, all the stones, comparable. And only after this step, we are actually at the state where you have a fungible commodity and you can create a representation, a crypto representation. If you do that, you essentially increase the whole global effect, because now you're not linked to a specific stone or a specific œuvre d'art or to Bruno Mars, but you can then have the whole bunch of diamonds in our case, or I'm not sure if it's possible in art, but in other commodities, you'd have the whole commodity space that can act as asset base, and you can have a cryptocurrency that reflects it. So I think this is probably creates much more use cases in many circumstances.
So last question, we've talked about tokenizing a wide variety of assets, from diamonds to Bruno Mars songs. What real world asset would each of you personally like to see tokenized, put on the blockchain, and offered up a portion for sale?
Well, for me, we're a marketplace. All of you guys, the more you tokenize and bring to our platform, the better.
I don't know. I think the answer to it is that anything that can be for the benefit of the democratization of it. You could basically, I think we will see very strange things in the future. We had a strange discussion yesterday. What could happen if you tokenized a human being? Yeah, probably. That's the thing, right? And you made a Big Brother program around it, and you had a DAO-like jury. I mean, I think we will see so many things. I don't think, someone said it before, I don't think we've even seen the start of what that can be, what can be achieved by it. So I think it's just really at like the inception point.
Any volunteers being the first tokenized human in the audience? All right.
Who wants to be tokenized?
Nico.
What I'm most excited about, tokenizing the digital and tokenizing inefficiencies in the non-digital world. You can't believe how inefficient it is to run a venture fund. The process of it, the admin, the KYC, all that. That can be done in a better way. I know one person on stage who's achieved that. So that's one exciting area. The other one is, to me, it's all about digital. How can I tokenize things that only exist in the virtual world? Right? There's virtual countries, virtual life forms, virtual luxury assets that come up. This is exciting stuff. Go watch Ready Player One, this movie that's now coming out that picks up on that a little bit. This is what I'm excited.
Terrific book also, by the way, Ready Player One. Highly recommended. Thank you. Matthias.
Yeah, for us it's clear we're all about tokenizing illiquid commodities. So we started with diamonds. Next in line is going to be rare earth metals, and we have a couple of other ideas already in the pipeline.
Everything's getting tokenized. Thank you so much to our panel. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them all a big hand.